Look at any depiction of Lord Shiva. Now ignore the trident, ignore the crescent moon, look past the third eye. Focus entirely on the serpent coiled tightly around his throat. It is easy to view this animal as a divine accessory, a living symbol of a god's mastery over death and venom. But that treats the snake as a prop rather than a character. This is Vasuki, king of the Nagas. While his elder brother, Sheshanaga, serves as the stable, powerful foundation supporting Lord Vishnu, Vasuki's proximity to divinity is more intimate. He lives pressed directly against the heat and poison of the gods. These ancient Sanskrit manuscripts contain a specific elevation of his status. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna identifies himself with the Serpent King, stating, "Among serpents, I am Vasuki." This high praise stems from 3 specific moments in the myths where Vasuki shifted the traditional power dynamics of the heavens. In his story, divinity is measured by the sheer volume of pain one is willing to endure for the sake of others. Long before his coronation, Vasuki sought out the isolation of the Himalayan caves to perform tapasya, deep meditative penance. He sat motionless as seasons turned. Storms battered his scales, and termites built mounds over his skin, yet he refused all food and water. Most gods and demons endure this kind of deprivation with a specific transaction in mind. They want to extract invincible weapons or the gift of immortality from the heavens. Vasuki lacked any such personal ambition. When Lord Shiva finally appeared to offer a limitless cosmic reward, the Serpent King requested only one thing: the right to spend his existence in service to his lord. Shiva accepted the offer by lifting the serpent and wrapping him around his own neck. He made Vasuki his permanent ornament, granting him a level of proximity no other devotee had ever achieved. This first act redefined the concept of devotion. By seeking servitude instead of supremacy, Vasuki completed the total annihilation of his own ego. During the Treta Yuga, the gods and demons reached a desperate stalemate. To churn the primordial ocean for the nectar of immortality, they needed a rope strong enough to spin a mountain. Vasuki volunteered his own body for the task. The mechanical physics of the churning were brutal. As the 2 armies pulled him in opposing directions, his spine bore the crushing weight. The friction sheared his scales away, and the pressure forced smoke and fire to erupt from his jaws. Despite the cosmic-level trauma of being stretched and ground against the rock, Vasuki maintained absolute silence. He refused to cry out, even as the violent tension threatened to tear him apart. His horrific physical suffering facilitated the creation of treasures for everyone but himself. As he bled, the ocean produced divine horses, elephants, and the nectar of the gods, riches divided among those who were using his body as a tool. Then, the friction unearths Dahalahal, the universe-ending poison. As the gods and demons fled the lethal fumes, Shiva stepped forward to swallow the poison. Vasuki did not uncoil or seek safety. Instead, he tightened his grip around Shiva's throat, choosing to absorb the radiating heat and share in his lord's agony. By remaining in the center of that lethal radiation, Vasuki demonstrated an infinite capacity to absorb pain so that existence itself could continue. In the Mahabharata era, the destruction turned inward. Vasuki's own mother, Kadru, cursed her serpent children to perish in a fiery holocaust because they refused to participate in a lie. Pain Janamejaya executed this curse through the Sarpa Satra, a relentless magical ritual that used mantras to forcibly drag serpents from across the world into a massive sacrificial fire. As king, Vasuki was forced into a state of psychological paralysis. He sat helplessly on his throne, listening to the screams of his brothers and his subjects as the magic pulled them into the flames. He refused to break his dharma with a violent counterattack. Instead, he orchestrated a peaceful intervention through his nephew, Astika, who used his intellectual prowess and knowledge of the Vedas to convince the king to stop the slaughter. Vasuki endured the emotional devastation of his people's deaths to secure a diplomatic end to the ritual, prioritizing the long-term survival of his lineage over a reflexive show of force. The gods and demons of these epics often fight cyclical, selfish wars for territory and nectar. Vasuki stands apart as the one creature who suffered most while claiming no spoils of war. These myths suggest that true devotion is expressed through the total surrender of the self, where power is simply the capacity to endure suffering for the sake of others. This reverence persists in modern traditions. During Naga Panchami, devotees still offer milk and prayers to serpent idols, bridging ancient scripture with present-day respect for the king who refused to put himself first. The next time you see an image of Lord Shiva, look past the fearsome god to the coils resting on his neck. See the ultimate symbol of love in the face of suffering, the silent king, still serving, still sacrificing.